Imagine you're living an ordinary life, going to work, grabbing dinner at Five Guys, binge watching Netflix on weekends. Then one day, the person you love most turns to you and says, Jake, what if we pretend to break up for a week just to see how it feels? Your heart skips a beat. Is this a joke, a test of your love, or a sign that everything is about to fall apart? I'm Jake, a 32-year-old architectural engineer in Denver, Colorado. And this is the true story of how my girlfriend Allison pushed me into a bizarre experiment that changed how I view love, trust, and self-respect. This isn't just about me. It's a warning for anyone who's ever been caught in emotional mind games. Trust me, you'll want to hear this through to the end, because what happened on day 3 of this experiment will leave you speechless, and the lessons I learned might save you from a major life mistake. It all started on a regular Tuesday night. I was at home cooking my favorite ground beef tacos with salsa, gearing up for a chill evening with Allison, my 29-year-old girlfriend. We'd been together for nearly 2 years, living in a cozy little apartment in Denver's Rhino district for 8 months. Life together wasn't always perfect. Allison complained about my late work hours, and I got annoyed when she left dishes piled in the sink, but I thought we were solid. Allison worked for a marketing firm, always busy with ad campaigns, and recently she'd started therapy to find herself. I supported it, thinking it was her way of taking care of her mental health. But that night, when she walked in, something felt off. She was quiet, not her usual self who'd ramble about a difficult client or a quirky coworker. I asked, "You okay?" She sat at the kitchen counter, giving me a strange look. "Jake, I think we should pretend to break up for a week just to see how we feel without each other." I stopped chopping onions and looked up. What I thought she was kidding, but Allison was dead serious. She called it a growth exercise, a way to test if we truly belong together. She mentioned her friend Megan, who'd done something similar with her boyfriend and supposedly loved him more than ever afterward. It sounded like a plot from a Hallmark rom-com, but I wasn't feeling the romance. A voice in my head screamed, "What kind of trap is this?" I'd heard of tests in relationships. My buddy Mike once had a girlfriend fake cancel a vacation to see how he'd react, but this was next level. I asked, "Where's this coming from, Allison? Are we having problems?" She dodged the question, saying it was just a way to refresh our relationship. I hate mind games, but Allison insisted, and after 20 minutes of arguing, I realized she wasn't asking for my opinion. She was telling me. I shrugged. "If that's what you want." She looked almost disappointed, like she wanted me to beg her not to do it. But I'm not the groveling type. We set rules one week: no contact unless it was about the apartment. Allison would stay at Megan's and I'd keep the place. That night, she packed a suitcase and left. The apartment felt eerily quiet. No Allison singing off key in the shower. No pile of her clothes draped over the couch. I thought I'd feel empty, but oddly I slept better than usual. Day 1 passed smoothly. I went to work, drafted designs for a new office building, hit the gym. I didn't text Allison and she didn't reach out. I started wondering, do I even miss her? Day 2 was more of the same. I called my brother, watched an action flick Allison would have hated. John Wick style movies were never her thing. This freedom, it felt strange, but not bad. Then came day 3 and everything flipped. During my lunch break, eating a burger at Cherry Cricket near the office, I was scrolling Instagram, something I rarely do. And there it was, Allison's post. She was on a couch I didn't recognize, snuggled up to a guy I'd never seen. His arm was around her head on his chest. The caption read, "Sometimes life brings you exactly what you need." Posted that morning. I stared at the screen, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. This wasn't Megan's place, and the apartment in the photo had exposed brick walls and an industrial chandelier, nothing like anywhere I knew. I double-checked, no mistake, it was Allison. What kind of growth exercise was this? I wondered if she'd planned this all along, if this experiment was just an excuse to test drive a new relationship. I didn't text Allison. Instead, I took a deep breath and acted. I called our landlord, Ted, to ask about our lease since both our names were on it. Ted said I couldn't lock her out or kick her out. That'd be illegal. But if Allison moved out long term, we could amend the lease. I called Chris, a lawyer friend, to check my rights. Chris was blunt. Don't do anything stupid, like tossing her stuff out. Document everything just in case it gets messy. Finally, I called Ryan, a friend with a spare room, to see if I could crash there for a few days. He said yes immediately. I went home, grabbed Allison's suitcase from the closet, packed her clothes and essentials enough for a few weeks, and left it outside the door. I sent one text, saw your Instagram post, your stuff's outside, I'll be elsewhere, we're done. I turned off notifications from her number and headed to Ryan's. It wasn't easy. Part of me wanted to call Allison, demand answers, but I knew that was a trap. I'd seen my friend Sarah, not Allison, a different Sarah, get manipulated by a boyfriend who faked a work trip but stayed in town to test her loyalty. When Sarah found out, she was crushed but realized he wasn't worth it. I didn't want to spiral like that. Allison wanted me to chase her. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of making me look like a fool. The next morning, Ryan and I grabbed breakfast at Snooze AM Eatery, a popular pancake spot in Denver. Ryan helped me search Zillow for short-term rentals since I wasn't going back to living with Allison. Around noon, Allison texted us, what the hell, Jake? We were just taking a break, not breaking up. Where are you? I didn't respond. Let her deal with the consequences. That evening, Ryan and I checked the apartment. Allison's suitcase was gone. She picked it up. I grabbed a few more of my things and left. The next day, I talked to Ted again. He explained that one of us could keep the lease if we qualified financially. With my steady job and clean payment history, I had the upper hand. Ted said he'd draft papers if Allison agreed to move out. Thursday night, Allison called. I picked up, ready to end this game. She was sobbing. Jake, it was just a test. You misunderstood. Jordan's just a friend from work. I wanted to see if you'd fight for me. I stayed calm. Allison, you posted a cuddly pic with another guy 3 days into our break. That's not a test, that's betrayal. She tried to justify it, saying it was a way to verify my love. But I saw through it. This wasn't about us. It was about her need to control me. I said, you wanted a puppet, not a boyfriend. I'm not playing this game. We're done. She got angry, shouting, you can't dump me over one mistake. We have a lease together, I replied. I talked to Ted. One of us can keep the apartment. You choose, but our relationship is over. That conversation was a wake-up call. Allison didn't want an equal partnership. She wanted control. I remembered my friend Emily, whose boyfriend tested her by pretending another woman was into him just to see how jealous she'd get. Emily took a year to escape that toxic relationship, and I wasn't going to repeat her mistake. Allison eventually agreed to let me keep the apartment. Ted drew up the papers, and within a week, I was the sole tenant. I had to pay an extra deposit, but the freedom was worth every penny. But the story didn't end there. Allison launched a social media campaign posting vague statuses about betrayal and men who can't handle strong women. A few mutual friends bought her story, but I didn't care. I only told the truth when asked. Then one day I ran into Jordan, the guy from the Instagram post, at a coffee shop in Lodo. He recognized me, looked awkward, and approached. Hey Jake, I didn't know she had a boyfriend. Allison told me she was single. Jordan showed me texts, flirty messages from Allison starting a month before the experiment. I wasn't mad at Jordan. He was a victim too. I thanked him and wished him luck. Weeks later, I got a message from Eric Allison's ex-boyfriend through a mutual friend. We met at a brewery in Boulder. Eric said Allison pulled similar stunts during their 3-year relationship. Once she claimed she was visiting her sister but stayed in a local hotel to test if Eric would cheat. When Eric did nothing wrong, Allison was disappointed. Eric said she needs drama to feel important. If things are calm, she creates problems. Hearing Eric's story was liberating. The issue wasn't that I failed her test, it was that Allison couldn't live without chaos. 3 months later, I moved to a smaller, newly renovated apartment in the same building. No trace of Allison. I started dating again, but slowly I learned to spot red flags, mind games, unreasonable demands, disguised tests. What about Allison? She posted sappy Instagram quotes about self-worth and true love. Doesn't make you doubt. But word from friends was she tried to break with Jordan, and he bailed when he saw through her games. She's focusing on herself now, but I suspect that's code for finding a new target. Looking back, I don't regret ending things. Allison didn't make one mistake. She deliberately manipulated me, and I chose self-respect. I'd seen my friend Tom endure a toxic relationship because he thought love requires sacrifice. But love isn't about enduring pain. It's about trust, respect, and growing together, not passing stupid tests. If you're in a relationship where someone tests your love by hurting you, get out. Don't wait for day 3 like I did. You deserve someone who loves you for you, not for passing their games. My story is a reminder, listen to your gut. When Allison suggested the experiment, I knew something was wrong, but I ignored it. Don't be like me. If you feel manipulated, ask questions. If you're pushed into a test, ask yourself, does this person really want to be with me? If the answer is no, walk away. Life's too short for pointless mind games. I learned my lesson, and I hope you take something from this story. Have you ever been tested in Love Share? In the comments, I want to hear your story. If this lesson resonates, hit like and subscribe for more real-life stories. Catch you next time. I'll keep writing, expanding the story with new details, plausible scenarios, and deeper insights to extend the narrative, staying true to the plot, characters, and American setting. Let me know if you want me to stop or tweak anything. Now I'll add a section about the months that followed as I faced new challenges and dug deeper into rebuilding my life after a toxic relationship. The story will remain seamless, keeping the intrigue and American vibe. Yeah, I say dicks. 6 months after that fateful experiment, I was sitting in a low-hi bar, sipping a local IPA. Life had changed, but not how I expected. My new apartment was a fresh start, but memories of Allison lingered. Not because I missed her, but because I realized how many red flags I'd ignored. I started reflecting on our 2 years together, wondering how I'd been so blind. One night, I stumbled on a Brené Brown podcast about vulnerability and trust. She said trust is like marbles in a jar. Small actions build it, but one betrayal can shatter the whole thing. That hit me hard. Allison didn't just break my jar, she smashed it with a hammer called the experiment. I decided to see a therapist not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to understand why I'd let myself stay in a relationship full of red flags. Dr. Linda, a warm-voiced woman in her 50s, helped me unpack it all. Turns out I had a habit of tolerating unhealthy behaviors because I grew up in a family where keeping the peace was priority 1. My mom endured my dad's verbal jabs to hold the family together, and I'd unconsciously mirrored that. Linda called it weak boundaries. I let Allison cross lines because I thought it showed love, But love isn't letting someone trample your values. In one session, Linda asked Jake if you met someone like Allison. Now, what would you do differently? That question stopped me cold. I realized Allison showed signs early on, picking fights just to make me apologize, demanding I prove my love by ditching plans with friends or needing constant reassurance she was good enough. I thought it was normal that all couples argued, but now I know those weren't arguments, they were manipulation. I told Linda about a time just 3 months into dating when Allison got mad because I went to a Rockies game with Ryan without inviting her. She gave me the silent treatment all day, then said, if you really loved me, you'd know I wanted to come. I apologized even though I didn't know what I'd done wrong. Linda nodded. That's a red flag, Jake. She didn't communicate. She controlled. I started seeing these patterns not just in Allison, but in other relationships around me. A coworker, Lisa, told me about her ex-boyfriend who tested her by pretending to be busy to see if she'd keep texting. When Lisa didn't chase him, he got mad, calling her cold. Another friend, Carlos, had a girlfriend who demanded he delete all female friends on Facebook to prove he was serious. These stories gave me chills. They were Allison's playbook. Turns out manipulation in relationships is more common than I thought. Linda shared a University of Michigan study showing nearly 30% of young adults have faced controlling behaviors from partners like loyalty tests or pressure to prove love. That stat shocked me, but it also made me feel less alone. Meanwhile, I heard updates about Allison through mutual friends. She'd moved to a new apartment in Aurora, still working at her marketing firm, but her dating life was a mess. My friend Jenna said Allison dated a guy named Brian, but pulled the same experiment on him, demanding a break to test his feelings. Brian, maybe smarter than me, dumped her after 3 days. Jenna said Allison was posting stories about maturity and learning to love herself, but her friends were pulling away, tired of her drama. Hearing this, I didn't feel smug, just sad. Allison hadn't learned anything from our fallout, and I wondered if she'd ever see the problem was her. I faced new challenges too. Dating after Allison wasn't easy. I met a woman. Yeah, Hannah through Bumble, and we grabbed coffee at Aviano in Cherry Creek. Hannah was fun, loved hiking, and had a smile that made me forget everything. But when she casually mentioned testing her ex by pretending to be mad, it was like a bucket of ice water. I politely ended the date and didn't text back. Linda said it was a sign of growth. I wasn't tolerating behaviors I'd once ignored. But it also scared me. Was I too guarded now, at risk of missing out on someone great? Linda reassured me, you don't have to be perfect, Jake. Just stay true to your values. One night I went to a live music show at Red Rocks with Ryan and some friends. The band played a song about self-respect, and it hit me how far I'd come. I wasn't the Jake from 6 months ago letting Allison manipulate me out of fear of losing her. I was a Jake who knew what he deserved, a love without tests, without drama. I thought about anyone watching this may be stuck in a toxic relationship. If you're wondering if you're being manipulated, ask yourself, does this relationship make me feel safe or anxious? If it's anxious, listen to that feeling. I ignored it too long, but you don't have to. My story isn't over because life always throws curveballs. Recently, I got an email from Allison subject, I'm sorry. I hesitated but read it. She wrote that she's in therapy, realized she was wrong to test me, and wanted to apologize. No begging to get back together, just an apology. I didn't reply, not out of anger, but because I don't need her apology to move on, but it made me think sometimes the people who hurt you are struggling too. That doesn't excuse their actions, but it reminds me that forgiveness isn't about accepting, it's about letting go. The ring incident was a gut punch, but it was also the final wake-up call that Allison was never worth another second of my thoughts. After my mom secured the ring, I resolved to close that chapter of my life for good. I dove back into work morning runs with Zoe and weekend football nights at Ryan's building, a life free of Allison's shadow. But if you think the story ends there, you're wrong. Life, as I learned through Allison's fateful experiment, always has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. One Saturday afternoon, I was at the work site for a new hotel project in downtown Denver, reviewing blueprints with the crew when my phone buzzed. A text from Jenna, one of the few mutual friends still in touch with both me and Allison. "Jake, you need to see this. Call me ASAP." Jenna's voice on the phone was tense, unlike her usual laid-back self. I called and she didn't mince words. "Allison posted a TikTok video. It's weird. She's talking about you, and I think you should know before it blows up." My stomach sank. A video. What was Allison up to now? I don't use TikTok much, but I know it can turn a personal story into public drama in hours. Jenna sent me the link, and I opened it right there on the site, stepping away from the drill noise. The 3-minute video was filmed in Allison's parents' living room in Colorado Springs. She wore an oversized sweater, hair loosely tied, trying to look sincere. But the content floored me. Allison recounted our breakup experiment, but in her version, I was the manipulator who forced her out of our apartment and overreacted to an innocent Instagram post with Jordan. She cried, saying she only tested my love because I was always cold and distant. She even claimed I threatened her legally over the ring, painting herself as the victim of a man who couldn't handle a strong woman. The caption read, "Don't let anyone make you doubt your worth. # toxic relationships, # know your worth." The video had over 10,000 views, with hundreds of comments sympathizing, calling me a jerk and a controlling guy. Standing there in the dusty worksite, I felt the ground shift beneath me. Allison wasn't just twisting the truth, she was rewriting history, casting me as the villain in her narrative. I called Ryan my rock in moments like this. "She's lost it, Jake," Ryan said. After watching, "You can't let her do this. She's tanking your reputation." Ryan suggested I post a response video, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to get sucked into the public drama trap Allison was setting. Instead, I called Chris, my lawyer, to see if Allison's video crossed any legal lines like defamation. Chris said I could sue if the video caused clear harm like job loss or reputational damage, but advised caution. "Don't let her drag you into her mess," he said. People like Allison thrive on your reaction to fuel their drama. I chose not to respond publicly, but Allison's drama didn't stop. A few days later, a coworker, Sarah from PR, texted me, "Jake, someone sent an anonymous email to the boss saying you have personal issues affecting work." They linked Allison's video. My blood boiled. This wasn't just social media games. Allison or someone working with her was trying to get me fired. I met with my boss, Dan, a no-nonsense guy who's been in construction for 30 years. Luckily, Dan doesn't buy into online drama. He watched the video, scoffed, and said, "Jake, I know you. You're a hard worker, not a troublemaker. Don't worry, I'll handle the email." Dan sent it to IT to trace, but I knew who was behind it. Allison didn't just want to tell her story, she wanted to destroy me. The next twist came from an unexpected source. So one evening while dining at Rioja in Larimer Square, I got a call from Megan. This time, she sounded frantic. "Jake Allison got arrested." I nearly dropped my fork. Arrested? For what? Megan explained that Allison tried hacking Jordan's work email to delete evidence of her sharing confidential info. But Jordan had security software and the police traced it back to Allison. She was arrested for unauthorized access and could face harsher charges if Jordan's company pressed. Megan said She thought she'd get away with it, but she went too far. I'm telling you, in case she reaches out for help. I was stunned. Like, oh, Allison wasn't just manipulative, she was a criminal. Part of me felt pity, but mostly I knew this was the consequence of her choices. I remembered Linda's words, people who live for drama get consumed by it. I didn't respond to any messages from Allison, even if she tried reaching out. Instead, I focused on my life. Zoe and I started dating officially, and she was a breath of fresh air. One night at a Lumineers concert at Red Rocks, Zoe held my hand and said, "Jake, I like you because you're real. Don't ever change." Those words erased the scars Allison left. I realized true love doesn't need tests, it just needs two people willing to show up. But Allison didn't let go easily. A month after her arrest, I got a handwritten letter delivered to my office. No return address, but Allison's handwriting was unmistakable. The 5-page letter was a mix of apologies, excuses, and vague threats. She wrote that she'd lost everything because of me, that if I didn't tell the truth, her version, she'd keep sharing her story with people who need to hear it. She even hinted at proof of me abusing her, a blatant lie. I gave the letter to Chris, who said it could count as harassment. I filed for a restraining order requesting Allison cease all contact. The court approved it, and for the first time in over a year, I felt truly free. Allison's drama finally faded. She got probation for the email hack, and Jenna moved to a small town in Wyoming, far from Denver. I don't know if she's changed, but I don't care. My life now is morning runs with Zoe, inspiring work days at the site, and weekend dates with friends at Rhino Craft Breweries. I started a blog sharing my story to help others spot toxic relationship signs. It's gained thousands of readers with emails from across the US from people who've been manipulated like me. One woman from Seattle wrote, "Your story helped me leave my boyfriend who kept testing me with fake breakups." Thank you, Jake. Those words make it all worthwhile. But the story doesn't end there. One day, prepping for a hike in Rocky Mountain National Park with Zoe, I got a text from an unknown number. "Jake, it's Jordan. We need to talk." My heart raced. Jordan! After everything I called, and he shared a chilling story. Allison had contacted him from Wyoming, trying to convince him to testify that I'd threatened her in the past. Jordan refused, but worried Allison was planning something bigger, maybe a lawsuit or a new media campaign. Jordan said, "She won't stop Jake. She wants to drag us all down with her." Anger flared, but I quickly calmed down. Linda taught me the best way to handle people like Allison is to not play their game. I thanked Jordan and updated Chris, who's monitoring things. Chris hired a private investigator who found Allison had tried creating fake social media accounts to spread lies about me. Luckily, they were flagged before doing damage. I don't know how far Allison will go, but I know I won't let her win. As I write this, I reflect on the lessons Allison, however, unintentionally taught me. Love isn't a test, not a game to prove your worth. It's trust, safety, and two people facing the world together. I look at Zoe making coffee in the kitchen, humming Fleetwood Mac, and know I've found that. But I also know millions are trapped in relationships like mine with Allison. If you're one of them, hear me. You deserve a love that doesn't make you doubt or fear. Don't wait for an Instagram post, a missing ring, or a TikTok video to realize it. Walk away today. Sitting in my Denver apartment watching Zoe brew coffee and hum a tune, I think I've finally found peace. But if there's one thing I learned from Allison, it's that drama never truly ends. It just pauses, waiting for a chance to flare up. Jordan's call warning about Allison's attempt to rope him into a new scheme reminds me I can't let my guard down. I thought the court's restraining order and Allison's move to Wyoming would be the end, but she's like a storm, always circling back to wreak havoc. What happened next wasn't just a twist, it was a series of shocks that showed me my story with Allison was never just a breakup experiment. It was a maze of deception, and I'm still finding my way out. A few weeks after Jordan's call, I was prepping for a big presentation at work. The downtown Denver hotel project was a career milestone, and I'd poured months into it. But right before the meeting, Sarah from PR rushed into my office, pale. "Jake, you need to see this now." She handed me her phone open to an article on Denver Pulse, a local news site. The headline stopped my heart. "Former marketing employee accuses Denver engineer of abuse, ruining her life." The article by a freelance reporter named Clara Mitchell told Allison's story, but a distorted, toxic version worse than her TikTok. He claimed, "I not only kicked Allison out, but emotionally terrorized her for 2 years, causing her to lose her job and flee Denver." It cited anonymous sources and included a blurry photo of me, likely from a company event. The caption read, "Jake Thompson, the engineer behind a controversial personal drama." I felt like I was in a nightmare. This wasn't just social media drama. It was a calculated public attack to ruin my reputation. I called Chris immediately and he jumped into action. "This is defamation, Jake," he said. "We can sue, but first we need to know who's behind it. This article isn't random." Chris contacted Denver Pulse, who revealed Claire Mitchell was a rookie freelancer hired by an anonymous source who provided the info and photo. I didn't need to be a detective to know it was Allison, but what chilled me was the sophistication of this plan. Allison wasn't just posting videos or statuses, she'd manipulated or hired a reporter to turn her lies into news. Chris and I held off on a lawsuit as it could fan the flames. Instead, we hired a PR firm for crisis management. They advised me to post a concise blog post telling my side without attacking Allison. I wrote about the breakup experiment, the Instagram post with Jordan, and how Allison tried rewriting history to vilify me. I didn't mention the ring or email hack, just enough to clarify I wasn't the person the article described. The post spread fast, especially after Ryan and colleagues shared it on LinkedIn. Readers commented with similar stories of manipulation. One wrote, "My girlfriend forced a test by pretending she was seeing someone else. Thanks for speaking out, Jake. It made me feel less alone, but I knew the battle with Allison wasn't over." The next twist came from Clara Mitchell herself. One morning I got an email from her subject, "I owe you an apology." Claire wrote that a friend of Allison contacted her providing info and photos for the article, claiming Allison was a victim needing her story told. Clara, eager to make a name for herself, wrote it without verifying sources. After my blog went viral, she dug deeper and found the friend was a fake account likely run by Allison. Clara said she confronted Allison, who cut contact. She ended the email promising to retract the article and publish a correction. "I was used, Jake," she wrote. "I hope you can forgive me." I met Clara at a Capitol Hill coffee shop to get clarity. She was a young woman, about 25, visibly remorseful. Clara said Allison reached out via an anonymous email, sending dozens of pages of evidence of my abuse, all fabricated or manipulated texts. Clara admitted she was too hasty, sucked in by Allison's victim story. When I asked why Allison did this, Clara shook her head. "I think she wants to destroy you, Jake, not because she wants you back, but because she can't stand you moving on without her." That clicked. Allison didn't just want control when we were together, she wanted to control my narrative after we split. This reminded me of my friend Maria, whose ex spread false rumors after their breakup, claiming she cheated, costing her friends and coworkers respect. Maria had to move from Albuquerque to Phoenix to start over. Her story, And now mine showed manipulators don't stop at emotional control. They want to shape how the world sees you. A Stanford study I read said over 20% of people who faced emotional abuse report their partner deliberately harmed their reputation post-breakup. That stat chilled me, but fueled my resolve. I wouldn't let Allison define me. Just when I thought things were calming, another shock hit. One night, dining with Zoe at Acorn and Rhino, my phone pinged with an Instagram notification. An account called Truth About Jake tagged me in a post. I opened it and my blood froze. It was a video filmed from a distance showing me talking to Clara at the coffee shop the previous week. The audio was edited to sound like I was threatening her with lines like, "If you don't retract it, you'll regret it." The caption read, "This is the real Jake Thompson. Hashtag justice for Allison." The video had thousands of views with comments tearing me apart. Zoe looked at me eyes wide. "Jake, what is this?" I contacted Chris immediately. He said the video was clearly fake audio, didn't match lip movements, and the angle suggested someone stalked me. Chris sent it to a digital forensics expert who confirmed it was AI edited. But the scarier part was someone had followed me, secretly filmed me, and took the time to craft this. I knew it was Allison or someone she hired. I reported it to the police, who opened a harassment investigation. Meanwhile, I contacted Instagram to remove the post, but the damage was done. Some colleagues gave me wary looks, and I heard rumors that a major hotel project client was questioning my credibility. Zoe kept me grounded. She stayed up all night with me reviewing the video, saying, "Jake, you're not that person. Anyone who knows you sees that." Zoe even got a friend at Instagram to expedite the post removal. Her support reminded me I wasn't the Jake from a year ago manipulated by Allison. I had people who trusted me, and I wouldn't let her ruin that. The police investigation brought another twist. They traced the truth about Jake account to an IP address in Wyoming where Allison lived. But the shocker was Allison didn't act alone. She'd hired an amateur hacker, Kyle, to create the fake video and manage anonymous accounts. Kyle, when questioned, spilled everything. He said Allison paid him $2,000 to ruin Jake, planning to keep going until I lost everything. Allison was arrested again, this time for serious harassment and using technology to intimidate. Kyle got a lighter penalty for cooperating, but Allison faced real jail time. News of her arrest spread in Denver. Denver Pulse published a new article, "Former Marketing Employee Arrested for Harassment Campaign Against Denver Engineer." It quoted Clara Jordan and Megan, all confirming Allison's manipulation. My blog got a shout out and traffic soared. I received hundreds of emails from strangers sharing their own stories of manipulation or post-breakup harassment. A man from Chicago wrote, "My ex-wife posted fake photos to take my kids away. Your story gave me courage to fight back. These messages showed me my story wasn't just about Allison. It was about standing up to manipulation in any form." Meanwhile, Zoe and I grew closer. We hiked Long's Peak, my toughest challenge yet, and at the summit overlooking snow-capped mountains, I felt I truly moved past Allison. Not because she was arrested, but because I'd learned to love myself, love those who deserved it, and not let the past define me. Zoe and I started talking about the future, maybe a house in Boulder or a cross-country road trip. But I always remind her and myself that our love will never need tests. It's built on trust, the strongest foundation. But just when I thought I was free, another letter arrived, this time from a Wyoming prison where Allison awaited trial. It was short, a few lines, but enough to send chills. Jake, you think you've won, but I know the truth about you. And one day the world will too. No specific threats, but the cold, confident tone made me wonder what card Allison still held. I gave it to Chris, who said it was likely her last attempt to manipulate me from afar. She has no power left, Jake, he said. Don't let her back in your head. I tore up the letter, tossed it in the trash, and stepped outside. Denver's sky was clear, the Rockies shimmering in the distance. I took a deep breath, feeling true freedom. Allison could write letters, post videos, hire hackers. She couldn't take what I'd built a career, a relationship, a life worth living. And I think of those watching this facing their own Allison. If you're one of them, remember, you're stronger than the lies, stronger than the mind games. Walk away, hold your head high, and never let anyone make you doubt your worth. The prison letter from Allison with its chilling threats is in the trash, but I can't deny it stirred something in me. For a moment, I felt her shadow, the years of manipulation, the mind games, the times I doubted myself creeping back. But I'm not the Jake from 2 years ago who let her control him out of fear of losing a relationship. I've changed, grown stronger, and decided that this letter and any future tricks Allison might pull won't shape my future. This is the story of how I ended Allison's drama cycle, found myself, and learned that real love never requires a test. Stick around to the end, because this finale will surprise you, move you, and hopefully inspire you to walk away from any toxic relationship in your life. After the letter, I met with Chris to plan next steps. He'd learned Allison, even in jail, was trying to contact old Denver acquaintances to keep spreading lies about me. She'd called a mutual friend, Lisa, from prison, begging her to post on social media to expose me. Lisa thankfully refused and tipped me off. Jake, she's obsessed, Lisa said over the phone. She can't stand that you're doing better than her. Lisa's words were the final light bulb moment, showing me Allison didn't just want to control the narrative. She wanted to control my entire life, even after losing everything. I decided it was time to cut her off completely, not just legally, but emotionally. With Chris's help, I sent a legal letter to Allison's attorney demanding she stop all harassment even from prison. If she continued, I'd sue for defamation and aggravated harassment. Chris also contacted the prison reporting that Allison was using phone privilege for illegal activity. The result, her communication was restricted to family only, and her prison actions were closely monitored. For the first time, I felt she truly couldn't reach me anymore. But the drama didn't end without one final shock. One evening, celebrating 6 months with Zoe at Guard and Grace in downtown Denver, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but Zoe, with a playful grin, said, "Answer it, maybe it's a big client." I laughed and picked up. A shaky older woman's voice came through. "Jake Thompson, I'm Linda Carter, Allison's mother." I nearly dropped the phone. Allison's mom, I'd never met her, only heard Allison mention her a few times. "What do you want?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. Linda apologized for the sudden call and asked to meet just once to talk about my daughter. I hesitated, but something in her voice, sincerity, exhaustion, made me agree. Zoe supported it, saying it might help me fully close the past. I met Linda at a small coffee shop in Colorado Springs, a 2-hour drive from Denver. She was about 60, 60 with silver hair and a weary but kind face. She started with an apology. "Jake, I know Allison hurt you. I'm not here to excuse her, but I want you to understand why." She explained that Allison grew up in an unstable home with a father who cheated and abandoned them. Allison learned to test people early, never trusting anyone, would stay unless forced. "I didn't teach her how to love." "Right," Linda said, tears in her eyes. She thinks she has to control people to keep them. Linda revealed that Allison from prison wrote her admitting she was jealous of my new life. She said, "You were the only one who truly loved her, and she ruined it because she didn't know how to do it differently." Linda's words stunned me. I wasn't angry at Allison anymore, just sad. Sad for someone who never learned to trust, to love without hurting. I thanked Linda and said I'd forgiven Allison not for her sake, but because I wanted a life free of resentment. But I made it clear Allison could never re-enter my life. Linda nodded as if expecting that. Before leaving, she handed me a small box. "Allison wanted you to have this. She said it's yours." I opened it to find a small silver necklace, the gift I gave Allison for her first birthday we celebrated together. I didn't take it. "Keep it," I told Linda. "I don't need anything from the past." Back in Denver, I told Zoe everything. She hugged me, saying, "You didn't just survive, Allison. You overcame the wound she left." That moment, I realized my story wasn't just about drama or twists. It was about choosing how to live, choosing self-respect, choosing people who lift you up, choosing to let go of what no longer belongs to you. Zoe and I kept building our future. We moved in together in a new Boulder apartment with windows overlooking the Flatirons. I got promoted to project manager at work, and my blog now has tens of thousands of followers, a space for survivors of manipulation to share their stories. A woman from Miami wrote, "Your story helped me see my boyfriend was manipulating me with emotional tests." I left and I feel free. That's my greatest reward. What about Allison? She was sentenced to 2 years in prison for the harassment and email hack charges. Per Jenna, she's in a prison therapy program, but no one knows if she'll change. I don't care anymore. Yeah, she's a storm that's passed, leaving lessons I'll carry forever. I think back to that Tuesday night when Allison suggested the breakup experiment and how I ignored my gut. If I could go back, I'd tell myself, "Jake, trust your instincts. Love doesn't need tests, it needs trust." That's the message I want to share with you watching this. If you're in a relationship that makes you doubt, fear, or prove your worth, pause. Ask yourself, is this making me better? If the answer is no, you know what to do. Today, standing on my Boulder balcony, watching the sunset paint the Rockies gold, I'm grateful. Grateful for walking through the darkness, for Zoe, for friends like Ryan and Lisa, and for myself for not giving up. Life isn't perfect, but it's mine, and I won't let anyone, Allison, drama, or tests take it away. If this story hit home, share your experience in the comments. Have you faced a test in love? How did you overcome it? I read every comment. If this lesson matters to you, hit like, subscribe, and let's spread the message. You deserve a love that lifts you up, not one that pulls you down. Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you in the next story. Allison's prison letter with its cold threats is in the trash, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't rattle me. For a split second, I felt her shadow, the years of manipulation, the psychological games, the moments I questioned myself stirring again. But I'm not the Jake from 2 years ago who let her puppeteer him out of fear of losing a relationship. I've grown, I'm stronger, and I've decided this letter and any future schemes Allison might cook up won't define my future. This is the story of how I put an end to Allison's drama, faced a final secret that left me reeling, and found light at the end of the tunnel. Stay until the end, because this conclusion isn't just my closure, it's a reminder that you too can weather any storm in your life. After the letter, I resolved to sever all ties with Allison, not just legally, but mentally. I worked with Chris, my lawyer, to reinforce the restraining order, ensuring Allison couldn't contact me, whether from prison or after release. Chris also suggested I see a new therapist, not Linda, to process lingering emotions from the ordeal. I agreed, and sessions with Dr. Mark, a calm guy who loves sharing Montana fishing stories, helped me see I wasn't just fighting Allison, but the scars she left. Mark said, Jake, you can't erase the past, but you can choose how it shapes your future. That became my guiding star. Meanwhile, my life with Zoe blossomed. We moved into a new Boulder apartment with big windows framing the flatirons where sunsets glow golden. Zoe, with her radiant smile and a love for hiking, showed me love can be simple and true. One night, sprawled on the couch eating Proto's pizza and rewatching The Office for the 10th time, Zoe turned to me and said, Jake, I don't promise perfection, but I promise you'll never have to guess if I love you. Those words, simple yet profound, were everything I needed to know I'd found the right person. But just when I thought I'd fully escaped Allison, a final bombshell hit, like a delayed explosion from the past. One Saturday morning, gearing up for a run along the South Platte River with Zoe, I received a small package with no return address, just my name and office address. I opened it assuming it was work documents. Inside was an old USB drive, the kind I used in college, and a handwritten note. Jake, this is the truth you need to know. From a friend. The handwriting wasn't Allison's, but my heart pounded. I plugged the USB into my laptop, scanning for viruses first, and found a single folder named Allison 2018. Inside were dozens of audio files and screenshots. I played the first audio, and Allison's voice came through clear as day from a call 7 years ago before I met her. She was talking to a man, likely an ex, saying she'd tested him by pretending to be pregnant to see his reaction. She laughed, saying he failed miserably for not caring enough. The next file was a text she sent a friend bragging about making another guy crazy jealous by faking a date. The files went on painting a picture of an Allison who didn't just manipulate me, but had done this to countless others long before we met. The screenshots were worse. One was an email Allison sent herself, like a diary admitting she'd planned our breakup experiment 3 months in advance, suspecting I didn't love her enough. She listed steps, post the Instagram with Jordan, wait for my reaction, and if I didn't fight, use it as an excuse to dump me. Reading it, I felt rage and relief. Rage for being played, relief for being right to leave. Allison didn't just pull a mind game, she made me a pawn in a lifelong scheme. I called Chris and handed over the USB. He passed it to the police, who confirmed the files could strengthen Allison's case, likely extending her sentence. But the big question haunted me: who sent it? Chris and I hired a private investigator, and weeks later they traced it to Megan, Allison's former best friend. In an anonymous call to Chris, Megan confessed she'd kept the USB for years from when Allison left it in her computer. Megan said I couldn't stand watching Allison ruin more lives. Jake, you deserve the truth, and I want her to stop. Megan sent the package anonymously, fearing Allison's retaliation, but agreed to testify if needed. The USB was the final straw, but also the key to closing my past. I met Megan once at a low-dough coffee shop where she shared more about Allison. She always needed control, Jake Megan said. I thought it was insecurity, but now I see it's like an addiction. She can't live without hurting someone. Megan apologized for not speaking up sooner, and I forgave her. I realized Allison didn't just hurt me, she alienated everyone who cared for her, like Megan. Allison was ultimately sentenced to 3 years in prison with added charges from the USB evidence. Per Jenna, she's isolated from other inmates for trying to manipulate them, sign she may never change. But I'm done with Allison. She's a closed chapter, a storm that's past, leaving lessons etched in me. Looking back from that Tuesday night, she proposed the experiment to fighting public drama, from the missing ring to the mystery USB. Each challenge made me stronger. I didn't just survive Allison, I learned to love myself and found true love with Zoe. Now, standing atop a Rocky Mountain National Park peak, hand in hand with Zoe, watching dawn light up green valleys, I'm grateful. Grateful I trusted my gut when I saw her Instagram, grateful for Ryan, Megan, Zoe, and grateful for choosing self-respect over a toxic love. My blog's now a community with tens of thousands sharing stories of overcoming manipulation. A man from Austin wrote, "Your story showed me my wife was testing me with fake divorce threats. We talked it out and we're saving our marriage." Those words prove my story isn't just mine, it's a beacon for anyone seeking a way out. If you're watching and feel trapped in a relationship full of tests or manipulation, hear this. You're stronger than you know. Love isn't an exam to pass or a game to win. It's safety, trust, two people facing the world together. If someone makes you doubt your worth, walk away. Don't wait for an Instagram post, a fake video, or a USB drive to know you deserve better. Just trust your gut like I did and choose a life where you're loved for you. Back in our Boulder apartment, Zoe's making dinner, my favorite tacos with homemade salsa. We're laughing, planning a Yellowstone road trip, and I know this is real happiness. No drama, no tests, just two people building a future. Allison may be in prison writing threatening letters, but she has no power over me. I won not by defeating her, but by standing up and living my life. You can too. Share your story in the comments. Have you faced a test in love? How did you overcome it? I read every one. If this story helped even a little, hit like, subscribe, and let's spread the message. You deserve a love that lifts you up, not one that drags you down. Thanks for being here, and I hope you find your own light like I did.